Well, hello, friends. I hope your day is going fantastic. This video, we got to talk. Like, we really have to talk about the real estate market, being a real estate professional, or really any kind of profession that has to do with real estate. We got to talk about it. So go ahead, grab a drink, grab a snack, because we're going to get all in it. With cost of living, right? And that whole nightmare of a mess that we're dealing with over there. And then the rates that haven't really moved. The market's still kind of holding steady with the inventory that is available. We've got the new tariffs. It's a lot of mix. And I'm going to tell you, it really hit home. The other day, I went to pay the mortgage. My mortgage went up $380 a month. Boom, just like that. No letter of notice, no nothing. It was just there. This is what you owe. So my first response was, this has to be a mistake. And then second, I'm like, there's no way taxes went up this month or this much, right? Because we all know taxes will go up a little bit every year, and most mortgages, anytime you have a loan, that amount is going to change every year once everything's sort of recalculated, especially if you have escrows, right? So any kind of prepaids, the mortgage company will go out there, kind of give an estimate as to what they think insurance might be, what they think taxes might be, or if they pay it in the rear and they've already paid that bill, they would need to be paid back for that. So either you come up with the difference of the $380 a month. So if you take $380 times 12, either you write them a check for $4,560 to cover the difference, or you pay the $380 extra a month, right? So I looked at the statement and I'm like, okay, what changed? What went up? It's the insurance. The insurance. And I mean to tell you, it didn't just go up a little bit, it doubled, right? And I think in the state of California right now, they're having issues with all of the claims and everything that were made there. They're just not even getting insurance renewed right now. Florida, kind of same situation. And so it's a mess. Like, it literally is a mess. And I try to keep this channel positive, and focused and all of that. And I'm a very positive person. I love what we do as realtors, and I love the business itself, but I just have to be real with you. Okay. And it's tough. Cost of living, groceries are higher than what we're used to. It's a lot. Okay. So this video, I just knew I had to put it together because we just have to break it all down. All right. Because regardless of whatever storm we're going through, there's going to be a silver lining. Okay. And it doesn't mean you got to quit your job and go find a 9-to-5 or do this or do that. I'm going to show you how we can continue to show up, answer these questions, because they're going to happen. These questions are going to come from clients and future business down the road. So we need to be prepared for that. So I'm going to just kind of share with you how I plan to share information with my clients and with my leads to better help navigate the process for them. And I'm also going to talk about all of the clients that are out there right now that you should be going after in this market that we're in, because yes, people are still going to buy, they're still going to sell, it's still going to happen, and there's still enough for you to get out there and get. So if you are new here and you like, learning about real estate strategies and all of that, my name is Melissa. I've been in the business for a little while. I definitely don't claim to know it all. All right. I learn this stuff I learn new stuff every day. And I think that's the reason why I'm so obsessed with this business, is nothing's ever the same. But definitely hit subscribe, give a video a like. If not, then I greatly appreciate it. Of course, subscribing is completely free. It does help me out. It shows me what videos help you the most. So if you like stuff like that, definitely do that. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you are new here, then you don't know, but I share my screen a lot. And I share my screen so that I don't go off topic, because I can ramble and I can talk about real estate all day long if you let me. And so I really want to try to stay on topic. So let me go ahead and get my little presentation right here. Okay, you ready? So let's go. We're going to break this up first. This section specifically, all about the tariffs, which in relation will have something to do with the cost of living and the rising inflation costs and that kind of thing. We've already been through inflation. All right. This is nothing new. Our new presidency as of January, yes, added the tariffs. And yes, it will make things a little bit more expensive than they already were. And that's what we're going to cover right here, right now. Okay. So we've already kind of covered the reality of the cost today and the cost of living, groceries, mortgage. You very well may get questions from your clients if you haven't, or past clients. If you haven't gotten questions about their mortgages going up, you can be ahead of the game. Go ahead and put a little email together and send it out, and just say, look, if you did notice an increase in your mortgage, it very well is possibly due to the insurance increases. Everybody's getting an increase. I think the states of Florida and Louisiana were hit at 100% increase. A lot of California, like I said, just got knocked off. They can't get insured. And then other states, it depends on what state you're in, but everybody got an insurance increase, okay? And probably taxes as well. But you could go ahead, send an email out to that and just say, look, with the rising cost, and the hurricanes and the fires that these insurance companies have experienced, we're kind of spreading it out and everybody's getting to pay a little chunk of that. So that's where we are. That's the world we're in right now. All right, let's talk about what a tariff is. So you very well may already know, but if you don't, a tariff essentially is a tax that is on imported goods. Okay, so all the cool stuff that we go buy at the Target and at the mall and online and on Amazon and all that stuff, if it comes from another country, those countries are now going to have a tax on those goods as they're brought in. Okay, so what does that mean for us? Well, those countries are responding to say, well, look, we'll just tax you on the stuff you bring to our countries. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, the consumer, the person who actually buys that thing, is going to probably pay a little bit more. These countries are just going to take the cost of that Nike tennis shoe that's $100 retail in the United States is now probably going to cost about $125, right? So they're just going to add that additional tax that we're taxing to them back onto us, the end consumer. All right, so that's how that cookie's going to crumble. That's what that looks like. Of course, the top countries that are included where we get a bulk of our goods are China, Canada, and Mexico. China's at a 10% tax, Canada, Mexico at 25%. So this video specifically, I just want to focus in on real estate. Now, this is not all the goods that we receive from other countries, but specific to real estate. And what we're talking about today, we buy stuff from other countries to build our homes, right? And so the new real estate market and new build and new construction kind of sets the tone for what our resale market looks like. So if a new home, a brand new 4-bedroom home is $300,000, well, that resale is probably going to sit at like $260,000, $280,000. And that's the tone based off what new construction cost is. That's the way it's always been when it comes to real estate. All right, so what's going to happen? Steel, lumber, bricks, doors, windows, cement, tile, stone, insulation, appliances. The builder is going to have to pay more for these materials, therefore is going to have to charge the end consumer, your buyer, me as a buyer, all the things, more money. Okay, more money. All right, so here's the deal. Why are we doing these tariffs? We're already at an inflated cost. Groceries are already more than normal. We all know this, right? We have a lot of, I'm not going to get into politics. I'm not going to get into politics. I love our president. I love our past president. I believe you can have your own opinions about the president and all that's great and wonderful. But at the end of the day, I feel we should pray for them, love them, support them regardless. I feel if we don't do that, it makes us appear weak as a country. Okay. That's my 2 cents on that. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. But in any case, the whole purpose of the tariffs, our country is in trouble when it comes to the crime rate. The crime rate's definitely here, more so than it ever has been. And so with that being said, the president essentially is saying, hey, look, come get your folks. Come get your folks out of our country. have them process the correct way to come through our country so they can pay taxes, so they can get a social security number or EIN, whatever you call that, TIN, whatever it is. Let them get a number, right? Let them pay taxes like every other American here, and then they can enjoy the rewards and the benefits that come with the country, right? Well, the countries are saying, no, we're not dealing with that. We don't want them back. We don't want them back, right? So the president says, well, then we're going to tariff and tax all your stuff. All right. Now, here's a couple things to this. Number one, in the year of so a couple of things to this. First things first is, did you know, I didn't know this till just the other day, that federal income taxes was brought in around I think it was brought in like 1913, 1940, somewhere right in there. And it was meant to be a temporary thing where the American worker people would go out, labor, work, make $1, and then they would pay in a federal income tax off of their labor. It was supposed to be a temporary kind of deal. And the federal government just liked it and said, you know what? Let's just keep this. Why not? In 1913, tariffs for us to pay, for the other countries to pay tariff tax to us, that is how we were rich as a country. That was our normal income. Okay. Well, through the years that tariff has gone away, we've still brought in the goods. They didn't have to pay us anything to sell them here. But the federal income tax on the worker just kept increasing. So instead of the government making money from other countries to be able to spread out and help everybody and do all these wonderful things, it was now the American taxpayer where the country was making the money from to be able to spread out and help and, you know, with all the wonderful things for families that needed some help. So our current presidency has said, well, here's what the deal is. We will just put the tariff on, but, and this is not a fact, this is not on white pages, but our current president has spoke about the removal of the IRS altogether. Now that's a whole other topic for a whole nother day, but I don't know about you. But I'm pretty sure if you're a 1099 or you're a W-2, and or your clients are a W-2 or a 1099, having 30 to 40% of their paycheck back would be absolutely wonderful, right? So think about it. If you're getting $3,000 a month, if $3,000 is kind of your gross income, right? And the federal income tax on that, let's just say is 30%. What is that? That's $900. Okay. So when you made $3,000, your check is going to be for $2,100. I'm not talking about state tax or Social Security or any of that. This is just federal. So you get $2,100 of your $3,000 paycheck because the IRS said, you know what? We want $900 of that. Okay. So where we're at right now is we're having the amount deducted, or if you're 1099, you pay it at the end of the year. You're going to pay it one way or the other. It's either taken out on the front end or the back end. Okay. On top of that, right now, our current situation is we're paying more money to go buy things, homes, groceries, tennis shoes. It doesn't matter. We're paying more and having it taken out of our check. What he's trying to do is say, pay a little bit more, but get your check back, most of your check back. Now, here's the deal. If I made $3,000 and you give me a check for $3,000, I don't mind paying $125 for those Nike tennis shoes, right? I got $900 more to play with. My buying power has just increased, right? And two, to that, I don't have to buy the tennis shoes. It's an option. If I feel like buying tennis shoes, I'll do that. If I feel like buying that, wine of meat at the grocery store, I'll do that. I have more money to play with. Right now, we're getting the double whammy. We're getting taxed and we're paying more. And the two just don't go, right? So situation right now, currently, most everybody's just maxing out their credit cards to be able to keep up because they just don't make enough. In which that's going to be a whole nother ball game right there. Because if you max your credit cards, you can't make those payments, it's a trickle effect. Then your credit's, not so great. You might have to go file bankruptcy. It's a whole thing, right? So with all of that being said, fun fact is a fact. The White House actually has a website that is called Fact Sheets. And so I'll be sure to link this specific fact sheet below. But essentially, this talks about the tariffs and what it all means. Now, side note to this, and it's, you don't need a degree to understand what it means. Okay, so that's kind of important. It's pretty easy to understand and what they're trying to say. I want to point something out right here. Our current president first bill was signed January 22nd. He signed few. Let's see, how many did he do? I don't know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. Look at the third one he signed. Delivers emergency price relief for American families to defeat the cost of living crisis. The point of the matter is the government's well aware of where we're at and what we're going through, and we're all feeling it. All of us. One way or another, we're all feeling it right now. Okay? So it's being looked at. You're heard, I'm heard, our buyers are heard, our sellers are heard, all of us are heard. It's going to be a rough ride with taxation and tariff and inflated costs and all this other stuff. It's going to be a rough ride for a minute, but hopefully with a lot of prayers and praying for our president that we will get through it and we will thrive as a nation and all of that we have in place and we want for our children and everything else. Okay. So that's what it is right now. Now, I will be sure to leave, again, that fact sheet link so that you can go and check it out because there's some pretty interesting stuff over there. All right, so cool. So now we know what the situation is, right? We understand what's happening. We can't just say, well, real estate's done. I'm just going to throw in the towel. It's done. Nobody going to buy. Nobody going to sell. It's too much. It's too hard of a market. It's this, it's that. While that may be true for the vast majority, believe it or not, there are people buying, there are people selling. Markets, rates, none of this matters. People were buying during COVID, like 2 days after COVID was announced. Life happens, things happen, people need a place to live. All right, so let's talk about your pivot. If you don't already have a plan, we're going to talk about how you can create one and who you should be targeting. All right, so if you're a buyer agent and you love working with buyers, you definitely want to be self-versed on the market and what we've talked about this far in the video. I hope to have given you a few aha moments or help kind of clear some things up. If I have, please give the video a like. I would appreciate that. But you definitely want to educate them about what's going on. Explain how the tariffs, they're going to affect the new homes. We don't know everything yet. We're still kind of figuring things out. It's all still relatively new, but they may want to consider a resale versus a new home. They may want to consider going 5-10 miles out that radius that they were trying to stay in to make it happen, right? In this market and where we are today. Doesn't mean they have to stay in that home for the next 28 years, but is it somewhere they want to live for the next 3 to 5? You know what I mean? Older homes may be of consideration, homes that have been on the market a little bit longer, stale listings, all that. And look, I got a video coming next week. I think you're going to love it, where I'm really going down and talking about how if your buyer approval's at $300,000, but everything that they like is $400,000, $450,000, I'm going to show you some strategies on that. So hit subscribe if you haven't, because I don't want you to miss that one. But anyway. The biggest thing though is that if they are going on older homes, you don't want one with like a lot of major renovation because the cost of rebuild is going to go up, right? Negotiate strategically, help them negotiate a price to reflect the current market condition. Here's the deal, blah, blah, blah. Here's the deal. If a seller is selling their home right now, they got to sell. There's a reason. There's a life reason why they have to sell. Okay. It's either, I don't know what it is, but there's a reason they got to sell. It might be family. It might be divorce. It might be, job transfer. It might be whatever. They're not selling because they're just leisurely wanting to move. Not today. The only exception to that is if they are what I consider a non-financial client, meaning they got plenty of stocks, they got plenty of assets, they got plenty of stuff. Those are typically your higher market clients. Money's not an object. If they want to sell because they want to go buy something else, market's not going to stop them. They're going to go do that. All right. So those folks might want, top dollar, but everybody else, if they're on the market, they're selling because they have to. And they're nervous in this market right now because, buyers are not coming around. We don't have a multitude of buyers. All right. So listings are sitting a whole heck of a lot longer. Prices are getting reduced. And you as a buyer's agent definitely need to take a look at what type of home your clients are interested in and start calling those agents. You know what I mean? And even just kind of verbally negotiate with them and say, look, I know you're here, but can you go there? And just kind of get a feel for what those sellers are how motivated are they? All right. But you could definitely represent them in a really good way. Definitely when it comes to price. Okay. I just had a listing that, investor clients had to sell because they had other assets to buy. They took $100,000 hit on that house, right? That buyer got a hell of a deal, got such an incredible deal. So, and they're out there, those deals are out there, and that was an investor seller. Okay. Connect with lenders, have buyers shop for lenders who offer the best loan options. I cannot stress this enough. All lenders are not created equal, just like all real estate agents are not created equal. We all have our own unique superpower and what we're really, really, really good at. Depending on your market, the type of buyer that you want to have a lender that caters to exactly what it is that they need. If they're a first-time home buyer and they're trying to target an FHA loan, you want a lender that's really good with that and that can really negotiate on those fees. If you're USDA, you need a lender that understands how USDA loans work, right? Not somebody that maybe have done one or two of them. You want somebody that's kind of their sandbox and where they hang out. If it's conventional, look, you just want to have your buyer shop that rate. And they're going to take that hard hit of that ding the very first time from the very first lender. I know it's a process. I know they have to go do applications on this, but this is a 30-year commitment. It's worth it. If they have to spend 5-6 hours to do, 7-8 applications from various banks to see what comes back, it's a big thing, right? So suggest that they go do that. I think if they do it within like the first 10-15 days of having their credit pulled, they're going to get that one ding. It's going to make their credits drop a little bit because of that ding. But outside of that, they get a little cushion right there. And if I misspoke on that, please let me know in the comments. But I believe that's how it's always been, 10-15 days, whatever, is kind of what I tell my clients. All right. Here's what you want to do if you're a buyer's agent and who you should be going after. Obviously, you want to go after motivated buyers. These are going to be downsizing, retiree, relocation, combined housing. So look, a lot of families, listen, they might be selling their little individual 3 bedrooms, going and buying a 5 or a 6 bedroom, right? Just to share that expense, combining the families, sharing the expense, getting a main house with a basement and I've already had a seller call me last week about that. She's looking for a piece of land. She wants a primary home, either with a basement that she can put 2 mobile homes on for her kids. All right. And people are, they're being creative right now. And of course, always investors. Investors are definitely investors. This is their thriving market. When people are scared to do anything, investors come out of the woodwork. They find opportunity in markets like this where it's not super, a little bit shaky, a little bit nerve-wracking, right? So investors are always ones to target, and you can easily go after investors. All you have to do is go to your county or your city website, probably your county website, Find out when their auction is, typically once a month. Go to that courthouse with a pocket full of business cards, go around, shake hands, introduce yourself, give them a card. Hey, I'm Melissa. I'm a friendly realtor, an investor-friendly realtor. Give me a call if you ever need anything. You could even go do some research to find a good deal on a home and take that with you, take that information with you to the courthouse, So look, that I did it. I was very successful with doing it, and they're there every month, like clockwork. Okay. And then when it comes to downsizing, if you're in a metro market and the kids have grown up, they've moved out, and it's an older couple, whatever, and they're wanting to move to another place, the mountains or whatever, okay, in another state, help them sell their house, but then also don't forget the co-op opportunity that exists on their buy side. So if they are moving from one state to another state, say it's going to be a mountain property, you just let them know, hey, look, I've got a great realtor partner up there that can help you. And if you've watched some of my other videos, we talk about networking for referrals. So go check that one out. But introduce yourself, find an agent that's going to vibe with you, that'll vibe with your client, and get them connected. And then you get a co-op on the back end of the buy side. All right. Now, again, there's a whole nother pool of investor buyers that are out there right now. And here's the deal with them. They are probably doctors, attorneys, business owners, things like that, where they put all their extra expendable income into stocks. The stocks are very wiggly right now. They have been for a few years. You could always reach out to those type investors that maybe they haven't gotten into real estate because they just don't know enough about it. Or maybe they think the only way to invest in real estate is by flipping a house, and they just don't have the interest or the time for that. Listen, there's a lot of people with a lot of money that need somewhere to put it. Okay. Real estate is the easiest way to do that, but you don't know what you don't know. And some of these guys may not have agents that are good in investments, right? So if you are, and you understand your market and you know it, write them a letter. You know what I mean? Write a letter that says, hey, I know with the tariffs and all these things going on, I know there's an investment uncertainty floating around. If you are ever looking to relocate those investments, I'd love to chat with you about the world of real estate investing and have that conversation with them. Back in 2008, when I was selling little mini mansions for like $140,000, I'm talking 6-7 bedrooms, in-ground pool, whole nine, 140 grand in a metro area. Well, it's like a county of a metro area. We still couldn't sell them. All right. Now interest rates were around 10% during that time, but investors came up and bought them eventually. Typically, most of them were investors that would buy them. And nobody knew anything during 2008. Like, it was a really shocker. And so they bought it down here, right? And, over time, and it took us about 10 years, for the market to kind of make its incline. But over time, it just kept appreciating. Now, that same home today is probably worth, I don't know, $800,000-$900,000. So just know that, and look, if we're here in our market and they buy here and it takes a dip, it very well may, right? Just like these stocks do, take a little dip. They got to be prepared to ride it out. You ride it out, keep it rented, whatever it is you do, ride it out. It's going to come back up. It always does. That's the history of real estate. All right. That's really what our country is founded on. So I don't, as far as our economics go, real estate's always kind of been our thing. All right. So that's that for buyers. Now, listing agents, can't tell you enough. You got to price strategically. And how I do this, of course, you could talk about the tariffs and the inflation and all these things. And I let my sellers know on the front end, look, buyers just aren't coming knocking down your door right now. They're just not. Okay. And we might get a showing here or there. It might take us 6 to 8 months to get it sold. But here's the reality of it. You have to help your sellers understand that their home and where they're at today, they might have bought it, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. What do you think their mortgage is? The mortgage is probably, I don't know, 1,000, 1,100, right? So what I usually do is I let my sellers know, hey, look, we can list it here, but just so you understand, this is what your buyer is going to pay every month to live in this home. And nine times out of 10 is, $2-3 grand or 2,500, let's just say. And their mortgage is over here at 1,200. It almost doubles. And most reaction, the most reactions I get from my sellers when I show them that, they're like, holy crap. And then they think, well, shoot, I don't even know if this house worth 2,500 a month. It helps them understand it helps them get in the mindset of how the buyer thinks, right? That buyer is committing to 2,500 a month. What are you going to give them out of that? Okay. And so that can help, but you definitely want to price strategically. And you can do this in a 3-option comparison kind of view. You can say, well, look, if we list here, this is what the buyer's estimated PITI, property insurance, taxes, and what's the other one? The property insurance, taxes, and there's another insurance in there, typically for the mortgage. This is what it's going to be. If we list it here, this is what it's going to be. If we list it here, this is what it's going to be estimated. And sometimes when they can see that difference, it can help them a little bit. Highlight the value, of course, what's special about the home. You got to really focus on that right now. Okay. If it's a big yard and yards aren't really a thing in your market, you got to talk all about that yard, to other buyers saying, hey, does your dog need a new yard to come play in? I've got one. But all your marketing needs to be centered around that really cool feature that's going on with that house. Other effective marketing options would be, is the seller's loan assumable? If they're a seller who refied during the COVID time at 2 to 3%, has the seller called that lender to say, hey, if I get a buyer come in here and buy my home, can they assume my loan at my 2 to 3%? That right there will be an absolute game changer to your listing and to the buyer, and then you put in all caps, assumable loan at 3%. Now the buyer just has to go to that seller's bank, get approved, do all the things. There's a few little pieces that have to get moved, but it can make the difference between a, $2,500 a month mortgage payment to a $1,700 a month mortgage payment. You will shine as the absolute rock star agent. Both listing and buyer's agents will shine. Okay. And even if you're a buyer's agent and the listing isn't talking about an assumable loan, ask that listing agent, hey, is the seller's loan assumable? 9 times out of 10, if they refi during COVID time to get the lower rate, they pulled some cash out. So there's not going to be much of an equity position anyway. If there is a large equity position, the buyer obviously has to be able to pay that difference. Okay. Manage expectations. Of course, communicate openly with sellers about the potential impact of the market, help them understand the realistic pricing and negotiation. We talked about that. It's just really just saying it is what it is. I had some sellers contact me over the weekend and they have some land. And I'm looking at the comps and I'm looking at days on market. And I just straight told them, I said, look, you're probably looking at a 6 to 8 month turnaround. And this is probably the most you're going to be able to get, which was about $75,000 less than what they were hoping for. It is what it is. And I'm not going to tell them what they want to hear. I'm going to tell them what it is. There's plenty of other agents that will tell them what they want to hear just to get the listing, but I'm not in the business of expired listings, and I'm just not in the business for all that. It is what it is, and if you want to go with somebody who can tell you different, you do that. And then, and I've had other sellers do that and, no problem with that. And then I'll run into them later and they're like, you know what? We actually sold it what you said we would. Yeah. I figured this much. So, other ways to find motivated sellers. They don't care about tariffs. They don't care about interest rate, inflated prices, none of that. It's going to be your retirees or your relocations for jobs transfer family. Remember that co-op. You could be the receiving side of that, right? So networking with other agents in other states. If you're starting to see an increase of folks moving to your area and vice versa from a particular state, you need to go find agents in those states, see what's happening. Combined housing, shared expenses, of course, folks that are selling their little 3 bedrooms to go buy a big 5-7 bedroom or one on a lot of land where they can add a couple of mobile homes. It's happening. All right. Pre-foreclosure short sales, always a bread and butter, always an easy option, especially if you're working with investors and you have a group of investors to be able to help those folks out. Definitely can help. Divorce, unfortunately, there's always that. And then probates, when you have those that pass away, you can always go to those families, during, a loss and try to help them on the probate side of things. But look, and I teach this in my boot camp. Here's the thing. You got the buyer options and you've got the seller options. These are all amazing opportunities, but I would not focus on more than like 1 or 2. Okay. You can't go after all of that, right? You'll be all over the place and it's too stimulating. It's too much. And remember my all-time favorite quote, what you focus on expands, right? So if you just focus on divorce clients, that business is going to blow up for you. If all you talk about is, I am the expert agent on divorce real estate. If that's all you talk about, that's what you're going to be known for. And all those agents that are in other states that are looking for divorce agents in your state, you're going to pop up and you're their person. Okay. Same with probates, pre-foreclosures, all that stuff. So I hope that helps make some, make some sense for you there. So take action now. Don't hide. Make a post, send an email, send a text, call your clients, call your database. Say, look, I know we got, face the facts. It is what it is, right? But just know that you are letting them know you're aware of the situation, right? And that, it's a tricky market and it's not for every buyer and every seller, but things do happen. That it doesn't matter. So just let them know you're available. You can, answer any questions that they have. And of course, consider your market. So, if you're noticing, like if you live in more of a vacation style market, like in the mountains or cabins or on a lake or river or whatever, and that's kind of your thing, you're obviously going to focus more on those retiree and downsizing clients. But really, you should be focusing on agents to get those co-op referrals. At the end of the day, we got this, right? It's not, look, we're never going to be given anything we can't handle. We're going to get through it. Everything's going to be fine. Look, nobody likes change. We don't want to have to sit here and be like, oh, but I love working with first-time home buyers. I don't want to go work with divorcees. It doesn't matter. You pivot your business. You add to your resume. You get better every year, over and over. And you may go and pivot over to pre-foreclosures and be like, I love this. This is my new thing. I'm going to stay doing this. And if that's you, by all means, do your thing. But we have to pivot, right? And go with the flow, go with the market, all the things. But I know you can do it. And listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you got some nuggets out of this video and you are still here with me, please give the video a like. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1K. If we get there, we will, I'll have a very special giveaway. So definitely hit subscribe and let's get out there. Let's get it. I'm excited. Let's rock and roll with it. And I will see you on the next video. Love you. Bye.